It's the big leagues, trying to max the ears if you can't hear me. The players that made it, they QB for second, they hop in the block with me. Hey, y'all better fear me, follow me like some fairy.
What's going on, MGU All-Stars? It is Jay here, I'm just Jay Jingles, just in, guy in the chat, chatting with you guys. I wanted to do something when it comes down to just kind of going over the week, kind of what happened, just so you don't have to watch all the matches, and just in case you missed it, and you wanted to see what was going on. This is what this video is all about. So I am just going to run through the matches one by one, and I actually have an interview with one of the players that agreed to do it as well. Is going to join us, who actually won for the Lord Helix Draft League in week 1, and just kind of getting a little bit of behind the scenes for the prep, you know, how he was doing during the match and just his thoughts on that. So that should be kind of fun, which is going to be a little bit later. First things first, we're going to get into the first match. Let's do chronologically that happened in the week. We're going to start off with the GLDL versus the GADL. Very, very close match. I know a lot of these players are really familiar with each other, and I know Sean and Gumi have been kind of around the block when it comes to this. So no surprises with these two. I personally don't know many of these players at all. So this has been a great week 1. I was very, very entertained by every single one of the matches. So this was a lot of fun. But basically, without getting too much into it and going through turn by turn kind of stuff, because people don't have time for that, Milotic just kind of went off with 4 kills, 1 death. And by the way, GLDL, Gumi ended up winning 2-0. Game 1, Game 2 were both wins, winning 1-0. With 1 mon left and 3-0 with 3 mons left in game 2. Pretty much the story of the game. Milotic just kind of walled a lot of things, just was turned into an unkillable monster, as Milotic kind of does. Things kicked off pretty quickly. I know in game 1, turn 1, when it came to the Halucha Comfey, I believe it was weakness policy. I don't think we saw it, but without the terrain on the on the GADL side. Well, except for the Indeedee, I guess, but so I'm not exactly sure what the item was on that, but I imagine it would have been weakness policy, seeing the Comfey lead with it. But yeah, but that was a lot of fun. Coco went down really early. Halucha went down really early. You know, leads went both sides went down pretty quickly. So that was pretty cool to see. And Rhydon was really nice this week, picking up 2 kills for the GADL. Haven't seen Rhydon do very well in Draft League, but 130 attack. I was definitely looking forward to seeing it, and it didn't disappoint this week as well. But like I said, without getting into it, Gumi ends up taking down week 1, goes 1-0. Sean goes 0-1. Long season, so I'm not too worried. I'm not going to say that every single match when it comes down to it's a long season, 10 weeks. You know, if you lost, pick it back up, and if you win, build on it. I'm not going to get into that like I have in the past for another league, WPL. But moving on to game 2 that happened in the week, it was the SBC versus the WPL. Vitor versus Sick. Sikaretin or Sikaretan, or however we asked that to pronounce it. I still don't know, but oh well. That one I had a little bit of an interest in myself, because that was the player that I chose to send to this league for the WPL, representing my league. But that was a lot of fun, just kind of seeing him be released to the Wolves, I guess, or throw him in the deep end in this league, because I haven't really seen him play against many other people than just our league alone. So this was a lot of fun. But pretty much how it went down is I know that the Klefki Umbreon lead for Vitor in the WPL was very, very, very hard to break in game 1, and it did really, really well setting screens, Umbreon snarling, having foul play was just a little bit of the offense it needed to deal with those big threats in the Alolan Marowak and the Celesteela and the Garchomp, things like that. But so that was really cool to see, and I remember talking to Sick after the match, and he was just like, that Umbreon is so bulky. So I think it definitely got people to notice if they hadn't really seen a whole lot of Umbreon, but Umbreon's been a little bit of a staple in the WPL, so we were all kind of hoping he would grab it, and he did. But the WPL ends up taking the week 2-0 again, winning game 1 2-0, and winning game 2 just by a hair. That Rotom fan survived, I think, 5% health against that Alolan Persian at the end, but ends up picking up the 1-0 win nonetheless, taking a win in week 1. Very, very cool to see Vitor kick off week 1 with a win. And SBC, talking to him, he's not worried. So let's move on to the next match, which is Snoot versus Pixel Masters. So that was the OPL versus the UBDL, Ultra Beast Draft League. This match as well, I was actually really looking forward to seeing. Every player in this league is just so good. After looking up their records on the website and things like that, and just after talking to a few people and even watching them play this week, everyone is just really, really good, and I would stand no chance against any of you. So I'm really glad I didn't nominate myself. But watching some of these matches, the timely protects and things like that, and just the strategies involved, the switches, and it's just been so impressive. And watching this OPL match was definitely got my attention as well. Seeing the Spectrier, the back row Spectrier, just in support, and Togepi, just getting the little bit of redirection it needs with the helping hand, and just deagling with the little bit of chip damage, which takes down the Urshifu on the opposite side of the field, was really cool. And not to mention Flapple going off with 3 kills this week as well, with that hustle ability, just giving it those physical boosts was really cool. I feel that the UBDL played really well as well. Pixel Master brought Butterfree Impidimp, Berserker, Regieleki, Seismitoad, and the other Urshifu, Single Strike. But the OPL ends up taking down this week 2-0 again. Every single match this week didn't go to a game 3, so that was interesting to see. Not even one went to a game 3. One almost did in Vitor, hanging on by a sliver. But Snoot definitely played really, really well. He definitely deserved the win, just with like I said, the Flapple strat and things like that. And bringing the Tricker mode with the Reuniclus and just not using it. I thought that was the threat of Trick Room, and just having it on the team is definitely giving something your opponent needs to think about as well. But on the UBDL side, nothing really stood out too much. The Impidimp did pretty well with his support moves. Very, very inexpensive D tier pick for that roster, and picking up 5 support moves. Very, very cool week when it came to these two as well. Like I said, I'm learning a lot about these players, watching them, and Snoot definitely got my attention this week as well, along with a few others. So that was really cool. So moving on to the next match, we had the first cart match of the week, actually. Thank you, eMburst, for actually recording that for us. And the replay video is a little bit nicer to watch when it came to that. We're going to have some cart recordings and stuff like that throughout the season. I know this is it was kind of promoted as a showdown league just to make it available for everyone. I didn't want to say, hey, you're a league, did you want to play? Yeah, I'm going to send this guy. Okay, it's a cart league. Oh, well, he doesn't have it, or he doesn't have the online subscription, or he doesn't, for whatever it might be. So now they can't send the player. So that's why I wanted the league to kind of be a showdown league. Not really wanted. It was obviously I designed originally in initial talks about the league to be a cart league. But again, I didn't want to rob the opportunity for a player to represent if they didn't have it. So that was one of the reasons why. But hopefully, I know a lot of guys have capabilities of recording, so including eMburst as well. So thank you for that once again. But let's dive into the match. So eMburst, no surprises, bringing the Metagross, the Barraskewda, Naganadel, Sock, which was very, very important in his draft planning as well, saying it was very, very good. Togetic and Reliable Redirection, and Tornadus Incarnate, very, very scary team. But going up against Arcanine, Morgrem, Dragalge, Primarina, that is, Runerigus, and Weavile, 2 very, very scary teams facing off against each other. And looking at how it went, Naganadel seemed to be the Dynamax option for eMburst this week as well, picking up 4 kills, only dying once. Sock actually getting a bunch of support moves and timely kills as well, just hanging around on the field a long time, getting off the coaching. And Brick Break, I think he broke screens twice during the match, so it's always good to make Brick Break with stab damage at 75 power, and taking out those screens is definitely very, very good value for that week. So good move choice for that, especially with the Morgrem setting them a few times. So eliminating that damage reduction was definitely helpful in his win. EDDL taking week 1 2-0 once again, winning game 1 1-0, having one left, and the game 2, winning 2-0, having 2 Pokemon left. Colopsia on the VDL, not too worried about him as well. I kind of looked at him on the website as well, and his record has been stellar, nothing but stellar. So I'm definitely looking at him playing, and his season's not over, let's just say that. So very impressive win for eMburst, and not too worried about Colopsia there in his week 1 as well. So if you haven't had a chance, check out that replay on eMburst's YouTube channel. Head on over there, because it's always nice seeing the the point of view of the player as the match is going on, where their thoughts are and stuff like that. I know I was all over the WBE and the X9 Draft League as well when that was going on. Just kind of I'd watch the match on one side, and then I'd go to the other to kind of watch the perspective of the other side, but we don't have that in this case. But you can at least watch one of them, which is a little bit of an extra treat. So I think Aaron Marshall is actually doing his as well for the BPL, which we'll talk about next. He's recording his as well and talking about them, just to kind of, again, give people an inside scoop of what's going on with him. But he's doing his on Showdown, so very cool and very, very good of him. But like I said, brings to the next match, TGR versus the BPL. So Pat Mac versus Aaron Marshall, very, very scary teams as well. I know that Aaron Marshall, he ended up drafting a rain team, almost strictly a rain team as well. So there was no surprise with what he brought. Didn't see the Thievul and the Pincurchin with the terrain and the Unburden on the Thievul. I don't think there's any surprise what the item on the Thievul was, even though we didn't see it with the terrain there and the Unburden. But Pelipper Kingdra, always scary, even if you know it's coming. But and that's probably why Pat Mac decided to bring Alchemy to this match as well. Very, very scary Pokemon that's capable of doing a ton of damage on the fairy stab moves and things like that. And not to mention the Decorate strat that can just be thrown onto anything at any time. The Thunderous Incarnate is always a threat when it comes to whether or not it has the Defiant ability or whether or not it has the Prankster ability. So that's why Thunderous is just so scary in Draft League as well. Gallade with the beat up strat. So they both played really, really well. I know that a couple of timely misses definitely had something to do with the match at some point. I don't know if the win would have gone the other way, but when it comes to a timely miss like that, something so important, you just never know in the end. You just got to tip your cap and move on to the next week without worrying about it. And I'm sure Pat Mac is not worried at all in any way, shape, or form. Very good player. But Aaron picking up a win in week 1, winning 2-0, taking game 1 2-0, and hanging on in game 2 for a 1-0 victory. So congrats to Aaron for that. And moving on to the next match, kind of a singles specialist when it comes to arts with the YCL. Another victory that was very, very cool to watch. I was watching that one live with actually the owner, Rager Bonsai, and just kind of getting into a little bit of a behind the scenes if you were there for that chat. Just kind of asking his background with singles and things like that, and he's just adapting to VGC very, very well. And as we saw in the match, he played very well as well. That Vileplume is just so cool. It was, I haven't seen a whole lot of Vileplume when it comes to Draft League, so that was a lot of fun to watch. But very cool team with the Ninetales. Not the most common Sunsetter when it comes to Drought. Usually it's a Torkoal, but Ninetales having a bunch of other opportunities as well to do different things was definitely a very much cheaper version of the Sun, so that's probably why he decided to go with that. Bringing the Landorus T, very, very scary, 140 base attack. Lycanroc Midday, Ninetales, Rotom Wash, a very, very good Pokemon used across Draft League. Sableye, one of the best Prankster mons in the game, and the hidden weapon, Vileplume. Vileplume running a set with Sleep Powder, obviously, having Strength Sap, Sludge Bomb, and I think the last move was Giga Drain. I could be wrong. It was a grass move of some kind. But Vileplume picking up 4 kills, not dying once, and 8 support moves. Probably the MVP of week 1 across the league, just being as dominating as it was. So that was really, really nice to see. I don't know if it was hard prepped for, being one of the lower tiers, like a D tier, usually is not like the sexiest pick on the other side of the field when you're prepping against their 11 mons. You're not usually hard prepping for the D tiers. Usually you're prepping for the top tiers, mid tiers, and then having at least some kind of answer for it. So I don't know if it kind of caught HC Shark off guard. It would have caught me off guard. Usually Vileplume is not, you know, something that you're majorly afraid of, but this week it definitely it did the job for him. Arts didn't even have to Dynamax in game 1. I don't know if he forgot, or I don't know if he just flat out didn't need it at all and just said, I just don't have to, so I'll just get the win. Wins 2-0 game 2, wins 2-0 again, Dynamax game 2. But yeah, that Landorus, that Dynamax Landorus is very, very scary. I know there was a point in the match where Lando was hit with a water move by the Slowking Galar from HC, but he did have that +1 special defense boost, and it survived on like a hair. And it was just a menace to deal with that Lando, not dying once, but it was very, very close. But a very, very fun match. We saw the Vileplume go off, the Landorus go off, the Rotom Wash was okay. We saw Dynamax Wishy-Washy, which was really cool. We saw Gigalith and Excadrill. We saw a little bit of everything what the teams kind of do. So that was a lot of fun to watch, seeing the Sand versus Sun. Dracozolt, Excadrill. Excadrill was a little bit of a pain at the end, but I think Arts did such a good job just limiting that Gigalith. Gigalith is a very, very scary Pokemon when it comes to being in Trick Room. And he did such a good job with Intimidates from the Lando, whether or not it came to Will-O-Wisps, just to lower its attack. I think there was a point where Gigalith's attack, I don't think it could have gotten much lower. It was at -5 attack, and it had the burn. So I was even surprised he killed it. I think one of the next turns after he decided to kill it, and I would have let that thing on the field until the end of the game. But hey, what can I say? He's playing, and he got the win against a really good player in HC Shark and for the Sunny Shore Battle Federation. Very, very fun match. Also a very fun match was the UGA versus the CDL. Probably the most dominating match of the week. We are going to get a couple of these throughout the season with the skill that we have across the league as well. And it's not even necessarily who you're facing. It's a matter of just having whether or not it's a good matchup, whether or not you get set up properly. Like I can't say anything. I got 8-0'd in the playoffs last season by a really good player that ended up winning it all. And it was just one of those matchups, and I didn't play well, and I picked the wrong lead, and I didn't. So it led to me getting no kills in the entire match. So good on Cosmic Kyle to get the 1 kill. So what happened in this match? I think pretty much just summing up was Araquanid kind of happened. There were a lot of timely switches this match as well. So Araquanid, Corviknight, Latias, Mienshao, Porygon 2, Torracat. We actually, Octo and myself, when we were doing the team roster breakdowns from the draft, we were saying that this was our favorite roster hands down, just because it looked like a lot of fun, a lot of options, a lot of bulk, a lot of fun toys to play with, which is Octo and mine's kind of style of play. We like to kind of, have a lot of fun in Draft League when it comes to trying different things and being bulky and switching out and all that stuff. So very, very cool team, and used it as well as you possibly could. Araquanid it was actually special Araquanid, which it has a higher physical attack than it does the special, but it definitely works with that water bubble ability, getting the double power from those water moves, even though it doesn't have the highest special attack. Once you set the rain after a Dynamax move, it just does it hits like an absolute truck. And on the special side, it's such a good wall when it comes to just resisting those moves. So in prep, I would imagine that Tay decided that, obviously a couple of threats from the team towards the Araquanid, but for the most part looked like a good way to go as the primary Dynamax candidate, maxing it twice, both games. So Tay ends up taking game 1 4-0, the only sweep of the week, and taking game 2 handily 3-0 as well. Cosmic Kyle, I think just the Rillaboom being burned and things like that. Also just being OHKO'd from that Araquanid on the first turn of Dynamax really kind of sucked for him. And there was really no coming back from that. Like when you Dynamax, they Dynamax, and their max kills yours before you get a move off, that's pretty much game over. There are very few times where you can come back from surviving turns 2 and 3 after losing your max in turn 1. They're just going to hit you so hard with no double HP on your side of the field. It's so hard to kind of come back from that. Not to mention, if you don't know that Araquanid is special, you're going to be intimidating that thing. He doesn't have an Intimidate mon on the field for this one. Frost Slash, Rillaboom, Rotom Heat, Stakataka, Suicune, and Unfazant. I guess he could have burned it, but I actually don't even think you can burn it. Something with a water bubble. That might be Water Veil. I don't know. But that was really cool with the Stakataka as well, with a really, really high defense strat. High defense stat. The Araquanid just hits it a lot harder on the special side. So very good job in prep by Tay. Not too worried about Cosmic Kyle coming back week 2. You know, it's kind of hard coming back when you get beat, you know, kind of that way. But it's a long season, like I said, 10 weeks. You know, talk to me in, 10 weeks from now, and we'll see how this mattered. Sometimes it doesn't matter at all. I've seen a guy go 0-3 and ended up winning the finals. The last match I wanted to get into, I'm actually gonna bring in Gaz to talk about this match as well, because this is one of the matches that got my attention. So let's welcome Gaz to the show. I wanted to talk about his match. I wanted to get somebody on this week to just kind of see how the match, just from the player's perspective, just to kind of see how the match went, and it just gives something a little different than hearing my voice. How you doing, Gaz?
I'm doing pretty good.
Life is good. Busy. But it's actually nice to actually talk to you. I've been kind of chatting with you through the messaging and DMs and stuff like that, and we've been chatting for a little while. So it's actually nice to hear a voice for a change. But I wanted to ask you about your first week match. You got my attention, that's for sure. You probably got other players' attention as well. When it comes to just being recognized as a threat, because I know you were new to the what's it called, the Draft League NL website, right? This season?
Yeah, first time. I've never done it. I haven't been in many draft leagues, but
what?
Yeah.
Wow. So what do you play? You play like VGC, like you go on tournaments and stuff like that too, or?
I've only done VGC. In the UGA as well. That's where I started. And that's how I met everybody from the Lord Helix League, and that's how I got into that.
Yeah.
And for the last year, I think, since COVID started, I picked it up.
Well, you definitely belong, that's for sure. After watching week 1, we saw some really exciting matches, and yours being one of them. And you're also up against a really good player in Dan the Man with the VBA, so that was a really tough draw for your week 1. How did you feel going into your first week, actually? Like were you nervous? Were you, like, a lot of the players I were talking to, they were saying, man, I'm just glad I got the first week win, because like the first week seems to be the most nervous. So how were you feeling going into it? Were you nervous? Were you like trying to feel out the competition? Where were you at?
To be honest, I don't think I was nervous at all. I really had a bad matchup against Ice Horse, and I didn't really think going in I had a huge shot from the beginning. So like it was very I wasn't too worried about it, type of deal.
So was it? Did you hear that VBA? He wasn't worried, so we got a little bit of a rivalry going. But
I was like, I did not think I had a shot going in. So like there was no pressure.
I see. Yeah, I got you. So it's more like I've been in those weeks where you're prepping and it's just not going well. If it wasn't going well for you, and you're just like, well, let's just have some fun this week. But
yeah, I don't think I won a single practice match with my league owner. He was nice enough to do quite a few matches with me. Not a single thing went well.
Wow. So let's get into that, actually. I want to talk to you about prep a little bit as well. I know obviously he's got the Ice Horse, that giant juggernaut of a Trick Room on. Not even in Trick Room, the thing's a threat, right? So other than the Ice Horse, what else was working for his team against yours specifically? Like obviously you said you weren't nervous because you thought you already lost before the match started, but what in prep kind of stood out on his team as like something like a major threat you had to prep for?
Looking at the team, I knew Trick Room was coming. His Trick Room matchup against me was very tough, and with Trick Room came Indeedee for redirection, and with that came a potential for double expanding force. So I think that was the second biggest thing I was really worried about.
Which you actually saw in game 2. Like he said it, I think turn 1 he snarled you. No, you snarled him turn 1 game 1. So it wasn't too bad when it came to turn 2. But I think game 2 we got a full expanding force off against you from the Slow King. Is that right?
Game 2, I believe so. Yes. Yeah, he switched out, and he definitely got an expanding force off. Yeah, he saved the Ndidi. Uh,
Decent
I
chunk.
think
Decent chunk
decent
from
chunk.
that strat. It's one of the more threatening ones if you're not prepared for it. But it seems like you were, because your game one lead with the Latias, Latias.
Latios.
Damn
Blue
it!
one. Yeah, yeah. I don't get it. They get confused all the time.
I have to draft one, and then I'll never have this problem again. I eventually have to draft one, and this will never be an issue. I know too much about Morpeko and Rotom Fan and stuff like that, so maybe I need to get more familiar with those. But no, that's that. Honestly, he's got a lot of threats on his team, man. So like, I knew the Glacier was a problem, and with the Ndidi and things like that, the Moltres is really scary as well. The Raichu, things like that. So that being said, so game one, you went down to two KOs early. You managed to get screens up with the Latios and things like that, and you were snarling and things like that. You got rid of that white herb on the Glacier nice and early on the switch in, but I think he would trade that any day of the week. Like, hey, I'll get rid of my white herb for a safe switch in, right? On with Trick Room up. And he just Dynamaxes and goes to town. The fact that you didn't lose a single Mon after that is really what got my attention, and may have actually got other people's attention as well, with the Intimidate spamming. You ran Max Wormwind, things like that. So like what were like, did you think you had a shot coming back, or you just played your win condition, or what?
So the Snarl Whiter was huge, because with that and the Intimidate and the Max Wormwind, even though he had 2 KOs, it was he had no attack boost, which I think was very big in, keeping him at bay. But with the damage output not being very great, that's the only reason I decided to switch to try to take out the Ndidi, because I figured I don't think I have this match, but KO differential is really what I was going for.
Yeah, you count your losses at that point, right? You're just like, hey, let me get a couple tiebreakers here and go from there. But so after game one, when you pull it back, did you gain like this extra confidence going into game two? Because I know you guys both switched up your leads. I think you didn't even bring the Latias game two. I think his lead, it was actually the same game two. Were you surprised at that?
No, it was a strong lead. Like, he could have double expanding force right off the bat. He didn't have to Trick Room, and he could have got in maybe the Moltres, after he knocked out Luxray. He really could have went either direction with that. I think we were talking after the fact, and his Drampa had a move for everybody. He had the Hailstorm, he said, for Togekiss. He had Energy Ball for Swampert.
Yeah.
But he double para hack. He wasn't able to get any off. Fortunate for me, but that would have really put a damper on that.
Yeah, I know that was one thing I completely forgot about. He got double para'd on a 3-turn max. So that really kind of puts a stop to your offense when you're paralyzed and 2 of the 3 turns are gone. Because in the Dynamax format, I feel like a lot of things just die quickly. You get those 3-turn games, 4-turn games, like boom, 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 game's over. But when you Dynamax and you just lose 2 of those turns, like there's not a whole lot of offense kind of coming out from your side of the field. But going back to that lead, I was surprised, but I usually say to people, like I think I made a video about leads. We had something called WPL Academy on the podcast, on our podcast for my league, the WPL. And we kind of went to leads. We wanted to talk about leads. When do you switch it up? When do you change them? When do you keep it the same? Does it depend on losing, winning, things like that? And I think that case was more so, yeah, he lost, but he did set up the way he wanted to. And game 2, the fact that he had a different mode rather than just set up Trick Room, he just went Follow Me Expanding Force, and it just did a chunk, right? So it's not too surprising now that you mention it, and now that I think about my own my own opinion on the matter. Yeah, it's actually not surprising that he brought those 2 as well. No, man, I thought that was really cool. That the Swampert set that was AV, right?
It was AV, yes.
Yeah, you survived an energy ball from a Drampa, dude.
I had light screen was still up as well.
Yeah, that's
So
a
I
good
think
point.
that's what he. I think that's what gave him pause in the game two, because I honestly had Swampert with wide guard originally. Switched to AV, but I was just hoping the threat of it would do anything, I guess. And I think game two, it really that's what made him switch instead of do the double expanding force.
Yeah, and that's a really cool strategy as well, right? And I think you're going to see a lot of that in this season as well. Like a lot of thought involved in that, such as bluffing things, like bringing an intimidate user and not intimidate, but bringing a fake out user and not faking out, or not having fake out, because in some situations, such as the wide guard, like you said, the threat of it is almost as threatening as having it. Especially with good players that know you have it. You're not going to catch anyone off guard in this league. Like, oh, wow, that got wide guard, or that got quick guard. No way. That's crazy. No. So that was actually a really good point as well. But so when you took down the win, you talked to your opponent after you won. And I like when players do that a lot. It kind of fills you in on, hey, what did you think of my team? What was scary? Things like that. It kind of, prepping against yourself kind of makes a big deal. Did you learn anything about your own team after the match talking to him?
I learned, like I put, I don't know if I remember if I did or not, but I should apologize for the double hack. I mean,
they happen, I guess.
Yeah, it just happens. But I feel like that's like the it makes it different. You know what I mean? It makes it different. I know it can go both ways, but
when they happen is key, I think, and that those ones kind of hurt. We saw a couple this week with a couple triple axles, and we saw sleep powder miss and things like that. But that one definitely hurt.
I feel like if that was the game room and British Pokemon League matchup.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like I was reading Pat Mac's message about hacks, and that is probably the reason Discharge was brought on Luxray after reading that conversation they had in the chat.
It happened before your match, didn't it?
Yeah, it happened before. I had read it, and I was like, maybe I get lucky with this, but with really from Moltres, a Moltres and DD lead, just because of Follow Me. I wanted to bring as many spread moves as possible.
Yeah, and that's just good prep, right? Like, I feel like if you plan for things like that, like, you don't just kind of, like, it's like people going for Ice Beam and saying, I want to freeze. It's just like, you know what I mean? That's kind of different. But when you bring a 30% para move that hits everything on the field, it actually increases that because it hits both of them. So the chances of you getting one of them, getting a status effect that doesn't go away, for the entirety of a game is actually so important too. So like I thought that was a really cool strat. It sucks when they happened, a para here and there. It's it's just part of the game. But I think the speed drop was another reason why it was beneficial as well, because in case you run into that Moltres, a couple of airstreams, keeping that thing at bay with its speed is definitely key. So I felt like you prepped really, really well. I kind of wanted to get in the head of someone that took down a good opponent this week. And so who do you got going week 2? I actually haven't looked.
The OPL, I believe is what it is.
Oh boy. Yeah, Snoop put on a clinic week 1 as well. So
Ghost horse. I got double horses back to back.
Oh yeah, you were saying that. Yeah, you got the shadow horse this week. Yes. Yeah. So have you done any prep so far? I'm not going to tell people when we recorded this in the week, but
yeah, the match is actually early tomorrow morning. I was able to run some matches this afternoon with Mike again. I have a decent team. I'm hoping that hoping a lot of funky, fun stuff kind of just gets me over the hump, to say.
Yeah, and you know what? I think part of it is being unexpected as well, like running things that are traditional or easy to play against, but when you're thrown off by a little bit of a strat, it could give you a win in a week. But that's also why the season's 10 weeks long, because if it goes that way, say hacks happen one week, or you kind of you run like a weird strat and stuff like that, and you get a win, or for that matter a loss. I feel like it's a long season, so it all averages out in the end. But yeah, Gaz, I just wanted to thank you. I didn't want to keep you too long, but I appreciate you coming around for this call, and I'll see you in week 2, okay?
Very good. Thank you. Good luck to everybody the rest of the way, all right?
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, everybody likes Gaz, don't they? Yeah, they like Gaz. I like Gaz. So that's going to do it for us today in the Week 1 recap. Thank you guys for sticking around. I appreciate you sticking around through the whole video. If you want to find out more about it, follow us on the Twitter, follow us throughout the Discord channels, things like that. We got a lot going on, a lot of fun things, Fantasy League and things like that. Check us out on Discord, links down in the description, links down to the socials also down in the description. Check out the original streamers as well that I'm going to throw down in below as well. And if you wanted to watch the replays from the week as well, we actually posted a video yesterday of all of them in one. I think the video was like 40 minutes or 35 minutes, which was a little longer than I wanted, but we did timestamp them. So if there's one match that stood out, we did actually throw those and compile them into one. So if you want to see how the whole week went down, first of all, you listen to this, check out the actual replays themselves, and tune in for next week as well. Click like if you liked it, subscribe if you really liked it, tell all your friends, and I'll see you guys in week 2. Peace.
It's the big league, trying to max the ears if you can't hear me. The players that made it, they can't be forsaken, they hop in the block with me.